I'm often told that exercise and strength training is not really for now necessarily as much as it is when you're old, where you have tendencies to be weak and unable to really see yourself fit and feel more out of shape. So it's a more preventative type of a thing. And for me, I guess it's an excuse, but I really don't have time. Going to the gym is absolutely out of the question. I just think that that's too unnatural. And I'm sure many would disagree with me, but I want to naturally stay fit. So I want to be able to do things that naturally force me to do lunges, like going upstairs or going up a hill, or even walking more briskly, or even going for like a light sort of not jog, but I would say a speed walk. That's what I tend to do. But am I wrong? Should I be actually practically applying some gym-like routines into my day?
Well, I don't think so. In terms of muscle, I think we are living in a world where there is such a discrepancy between what the science says and
Yeah.
what we know and what people think they know.
Yeah.
If we take, for example, one of the main human industry today, which is the fitness centers, there's a good argument to say that it is probably the most failed endeavor of human ever.
Although they do well business-wise, but failed endeavors in what way? In personal
Yes,
personal results?
Yes, absolutely. 99% of the people who go into these centers actually see no results, or very. You cannot even make a difference between someone who has been going to the gym for 5 years. I
Hmm.
mean, 99% of the people, right? And someone who doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that go to the gym, and yes, it is discouraging for many of them. I think that they don't really feel motivated, to be honest. And I have probably one I can think of, or maybe two, in the past that I've sort of come across that have been very diligent about going to the gym and very dedicated, very sort of focused, and on them, definitely the results show. But I don't know how they have that level of drive. I think it's it's not normal. I certainly don't think I could do that.
Yes, and I think it is an industry. I think it is pushing for a certain form of, let's say, sport and being in shape. But while vending sugary drinks and donuts,
Right.
when we know that 90% of the shape of your body is determined by what you eat and not at all by the exercise you perform.
And when you talk about those sugary drinks, they're talking about those electrolyte,
Yeah.
Gatorade type of drinks, which they give you, or they offer through vending machines at these health clubs. And you're right; it's shocking that they're actually not educating people on what to put into your body whilst they're working out on their body.
Yes, there's no way to outrun a bad diet
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So, in order to be in shape, you need to eat correctly, what the human body is asking you to.
Which
It
is
is-
nutrient dense, protein, animal based
Yes.
food.
Yeah, nutrient density and bioavailability of the proteins.
Yes.
Is
High
paramount.
fat. So it has to be fatty animal based food.
Yes, there is a discussion on the need of carbohydrates if you are doing very intensive exercise,
Mm-hmm.
because your muscles are working with glucose, okay, glycogen
Mhm.
reserves.
Yeah.
And when you exhausted this, there is, if you are not in ketosis and not used to it, there is a need to maybe assimilate very quickly some glucose. But we
Right.
see that people who are, abstaining from any form of external sugar, they have these reserves of glycogen, of glucose, that makes the muscles function. I mean, regarding bone density, working perfectly well, and they are actually increasing their performance. I'm talking about strength training and even athletes who are runners, intensive sports. So there's a lot of myth out there,
Mm-hmm.
and we know a lot about the functioning of the muscle, and we know more and more.
Right.
Right.
Well, so that was going to be one of my questions is from what I understand from what the stuff that I'm reading, strengthening your muscles requires some form of weights. in order for your muscles to get strengthened. At least that's what's out there as far as information is concerned. And it also says that lifting weights or reasonable weights can also fight off osteoporosis and your bones will get stronger. Is it true that it's the only way?
I mean, we have to go back to the basic. What drives any adaptation of the body in terms of growing muscle or increasing bone density? There is an American researcher named John Jaquish who produced a book, which is a bestseller on Amazon. It's called Weightlifting is a Waste of Time, and so is cardio. Oh. So he's listing there in this book all the studies that show that, and showing the mechanisms by which you can really instruct your body to increase muscle mass if you don't have enough, or if you want to increase it, and even if you want to have to better your bone density. So these are two separate endeavors, but they're all driven by the same processes, which is that everything in your body is determined by the central nervous system.
Okay.
It is the central nervous system that will say and gives instructions through hormones, for example, build more muscle or build more dense bones.
Right.
And for a long time, you have this myth that you bring calcium and your bones are made of calcium, which is not true, evidently, because, we have all been writing on the blackboard with some
chalk. Yeah.
This is calcium or...
Right. It's brittle.
Yeah, you break it like nothing. You drop it on the floor. And actually, we're not like this.
Yeah.
Our bones are a structure of protein that contains calcium. Okay. But calcium cannot be fixated on these structures without a vitamin, which is called K2. And if you have calcium without K2, it's useless and can be harmful because calcium can go into wrong parts of your body and calcify your arteries, for example. So it's not a good thing to encourage people to take calcium without the K2. And the K2, this vitamin, is mostly available in animal products.
But I think in general, we've learned that just taking any kind of external supplements or minerals is probably not a good idea because you can get everything through your meat-based, animal-based food.
Absolutely. So what is driving? So Jaquish, his mother had osteoporosis and she had some other medication and she was aware of the secondary effects of medication. And when she was told that she should take such and such medication to really improve by a few percentage bone density, she didn't want to go into it. So Jaquish, loving his mother, tried to find a way to solve this problem for her.
Right.
So he tried to find, is there a group of humans anywhere on the planet that has a very dense bone density, and why?
Okay.
So he looked around in countries, etc. He didn't find any much difference, but he found a group. The people who have the most dense bones on the planet are gymnasts.
Okay.
So why?
Yeah.
It's because this central nervous system that is driving the building of your body, being muscle or bone density, it's like the best engineers in the world, but they are locked up in a room without window. They cannot look outside and see the shape of the body, or there's not enough muscle there, let's do that, etc. They need to receive a message, a signal coming from the body that says, hey, we are lacking bone density here, we're lacking muscle here. To trigger this signal, this is the whole point. Once you trigger the signal, it goes to this engineer team, and then they instruct the body. Okay, they produce the hormones that are necessary, and if the building blocks are available, then you get what you want or what the body wants, right?
Building blocks meaning through the food that the correct food that
protein,
you eat,
the fats, etc.
The animal-based, right?
Exactly. So, if you want to address the osteoporosis, how do we instruct the body to grow bones and to make it denser? You have to send the signal that the bones are not strong enough. And it has been determined that, for example, if you jump from, so it is basically the force that is applied to the bone. And if the bone is bending a bit, then there are captors that will say, oh, it's not strong enough.
Right.
We need more strength, more density, right? So in order to bend a little bit the bone, it is estimated that you have to apply to the bone 3 times your weight.
Okay.
Meaning that you would have to jump very high from like a 2-meter length or height, boom, and have a high impact on the soil.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you would trigger the signal. Anything lower than this doesn't trigger any signal. So when I hear that people are doing jogging or just jumping around will trigger this signal, is not true scientifically.
Wow. What can you do?
This is why the gymnasts.
Yeah.
So what can you do is
because the gymnasts jump up and they land on the floor,
and sometimes they take like 10 times their weight when they hit the ground.
That's right, and they're pretty versatile and flexible, but at the same time very strong. I used to be a gymnast, and I'm surprised at how much of that stayed with me over the years.
Yes, the problem is the gymnast way is that not everybody can do that, and also it's very taxing on the joints.
Sure. So what's the solution for the average person then? How can they do that?
Well, it's just that when you are a child, see how they jump and run and jump and run. Yeah. They are really sending this signal.
An active lifestyle, basically.
Yes, their bones are a little bit more not as rigid as when they're adults, and then the signal of bone density. So you build your bone density when you are until you're a teenager, and then you maintain that by a proper nutrition.
Okay.
Or you can have these high jumps, but it's not advisable when you grow older, because now you can really be taxing your joints.
Sure.
So he devised a machine. It's called OsteoStrong, that has very good results, where is really compressing the bones a few millimeters to send the signal. So these are for people who are.
So one stands in this machine and feels a little bit of a compression effect?
Yeah.
It's not an exercise machine, really?
No.
Okay.
No. And it's for people who have never practiced any sport, etc. So, but it is this thing. Mm-hmm. It's working. Mm-hmm. But for normal people or people who cannot access these things, it's very important to maintain your bone density by eating correctly the food that will provide both the calcium, and calcium there's everywhere. So no need to fantasize about, dairy or no. In meat, you have enough calcium to maintain yourself, and you need the associated minerals or vitamins that will help the body to fixate the calcium in the right place.
Okay. So at what point do we kind of try to do this double our body weight sort of tension against our own selves? Can weights do that? Can we achieve that through weights or through some sort of lunges or squats where we're actually lifting our body up and down?
Not for bones. You really need an impact. You really need to stress the bone.
How about the trampoline?
It's probably not enough.
It's probably too soft of a landing too, because you don't really make an impact when you land. You kind of go all the way down. You squeeze down.
So I'm afraid just maintaining your bone density and not losing it is the way. I mean, I don't think once you're an adult, except with exceptional usage of certain machines, you can really send enough signals so that the body will really strengthen your bones.
So it sounds like food is really the most powerful way, and what you and I discussed about the animal-based.
So don't let yourself in a state of bone porosity because of lack of proper nutrition. Because the body, when it's lacking nutrition, will tap into these reserves. The bones are large reserves of nutrients too.
Right.
So now if we go to the other side of the question, which is building muscle, also Jack Welch says weightlifting is a waste of time. It's because the signal that is sent to the central nervous system for building muscle is on par with the signal that is needed to build bones. Mm-hmm. You need a strong signal, a very clear signal that muscle is missing somewhere.
Okay.
So the only way you grow muscle, it's apart from the normal muscles that the body is targeted to build. Mm-hmm. And this is, as an aside, someone who is very thin and have no muscle, like I imagine someone who is vegan, for example, who has been losing muscle because proteins are lacking. Yeah. And the body will survive by first sacrificing the muscles of the person. So you see these people becoming very thin. Yeah. They can be fat, but the muscle is very thin.
Yeah. I've noticed that in some of my vegan friends. They just don't have that body strength.
Exactly. And when they switch to a diet, which is animal-based, they lose fat and they grow muscle.
Yeah, because they have a lot of toxic fat that builds up.
Yeah, but it's not only that. It's that the proper nutrition in sufficiently, without restricting yourself, the body has a target. It has a shape that is ingrained in its DNA, if you want. And it will reach this shape.
Right.
So people are growing muscle without any exercise. People are surprised. People are saying, I could not do even a push-up.
Yeah.
And after 2 months now, I can do 30 and I didn't exercise at all.
So when we can, of course, we should be doing the odd push-ups and the sit-ups and whatever. I mean, that is kind of what I do sneak into my day, because as you and I pray 5 times a day, so sitting on my prayer mat, I will let myself then stay on the prayer mat after my prayer, and I'll start doing some stomach crunches, and I'll start doing some push-ups, and I do see a difference.
Yes, but these things will not really grow muscle. They will make your muscle more efficient,
Okay.
stronger.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the same muscle fibers in quantity, but they become stronger.
Does it also increase the insulin, optimize the insulin in your body?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No.
Because they often say that when you do lifting or any kind of exercising, it does sort of give your insulin a boost.
It's just because in this case, probably you may lose fat. And you may control more what you eat. Really, insulin is really depending on what you eat.
Right.
There's no way around it.
Right.
Now, if you want to grow muscle, you need to send a signal to the central nervous system that muscle is missing. If you do your push-ups, etc., at one point you will be exhausted. You go to the ground, you go up, and at one point you can't go up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because your muscles in your arms, in your biceps, for example, they are limited in terms of, I don't know how to explain that.
The strength.
The strength is not the same. For example, you do a push-up, you are up, you go down half, and you go up, and you go down half, and you go up. It's very easy.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
Yeah, but when you go down more...
When you go down more, you cannot go up. Why?
It's really painful.
It's because your muscle...
Yeah.
When it is totally extended and not fully extended, is very strong.
Yeah.
But when you are totally, collapsing it and then starting from the bottom, you have less strength.
Yeah.
So when you do push-ups and you go down, you do it correctly. At one moment, you cannot go up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It is this first range of motion that is exhausted. Your muscle cannot take it anymore. But if someone helps you a bit to go through this phase, then you can go 50 more.
Right.
But you should do it until you cannot anymore, because now the second range of motion is exhausted. And it is when the full range of motion is exhausted, then the signal comes. Oh my God, we don't have enough fibers. We need to build more muscle.
And that's when your body says we have to get stronger, because you've exhausted yourself.
Or it's like someone who just lays on his back, and it's called this exercise with weights, where you have this bar and this weight above you, and you go down and up, and at one moment you can load up to a point that you cannot lift the thing.
Right.
But if someone helps you to go a little bit further, then you can lift.
Yes.
Okay. You are limited by the weight in this first, when you start the movement.
And you start pushing up, the weight up.
You start pushing up, but you can't because you're weaker.
Yeah.
At the end, when you're almost extended, your muscle, you are 7 times stronger than at the beginning. So the muscle works in a progressive way. So it would be ideal if you could do weight training, but weight should change. At the beginning of the movement, when you start lifting, you would have a weight that is X, at the middle 3X, and at the top 7X. And in this case, when you do this movement up and down and up and down, with the weight changing all the time, you would exhaust everything. You would do it until you cannot move 1 inch. And in this case, the central nervous system would get the message, right?
So is there any apparatus we can use to help us to do that?
Yes, it's John Jaquish again. This is elastics.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, we have that at home.
This is elastics.
The X3.
It's 3-bar system. These are elastics, very strong, and they can go until 300 pounds. And they really help you in 10 minutes a day to exhaust all ranges of motion and to exhaust totally the muscles so that you actually grow muscle.
I need to really pick it up again. You taught me and it really did feel good. And you're kind of working against yourself, really. You're competing with your own record, because the elastics is about how far you can pull those elastics with your own body.
Exactly.
So everyone will be different, and everyone's results will be equal to what their body type is.
Exactly.
So it's a remarkable invention.
Exactly. And the point is really this, except when you're a professional. For example, if you are a professional weightlifter and a deadlift, which is that you want to master the art of deadlift to win a competition.
Yeah.
This is something different,
right,
than just wanting to be in shape.
Right.
Right?
Most of us just want to be in shape.
Exactly.
None of us want to really be competitors or that bulky weightlifter that we see on TV.
Yes, there's a whole range of medicine that is opening now. It's a muscle-centric medicine. We discovered that muscle is not just the way we move. It's just not like an instrument for moving. It is also the biggest hormone producer of the body. It's the biggest organ of a body, the muscle.
Yeah.
And it is very important for longevity. When doctors see people coming in the ER after a car accident and you have to do triage,
Yeah.
and you have to decide, they immediately know who's going to survive and who's going to die. And they base their judgment on the muscle mass.
Oh my. So if your muscle is that important, then I wonder why we're not taught. You're saying that a whole new field in medicine is coming out on just this area of muscle.
Yeah.
But I certainly hope that they don't think that they're going to give it medication in order for them to treat it. It should be a natural approach, no? Because muscles should not be tampered with by the pharmaceuticals.
Exactly. And you know what happens, people are taking these steroids and so many other things.
Of course, which is horrendous on everything from mental health all the way to...
It does. Of course, they build muscle, but it is a muscle of different quality that is not in tune with the body.
Yeah, and not natural.
The central system is lost, and they are basically killing their liver and their kidneys with all these pharmaceuticals.
But that's why I'm hoping that this field of medicine that's focusing on muscles now is not going to be pushing drugs on people. No,
the point is not to have big muscles. It's to have functioning muscles.
And to be fit, to have...
And as we age, one phenomena is that we are eating, usually in our Western societies in particular, less and less protein. And look at old people. They're almost told they don't need to eat much meat, etc. And this is the opposite.
What a crime.
Yes. And you have this range of sarcopenia, meaning that as people age, they lose their muscle. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. There's no reason for it. Maintaining a good muscle mass should be a priority for anyone who wants to live long and in good health.